All right, let's talk about the race for the stars. Right now, there's one company that pretty much owns the whole game. But what if I told you there's a new generation of rivals and they're bringing a revolutionary weapon to the fight? That weapon is artificial intelligence. This is the story of a titan, SpaceX, versus the AI rocket revolution.
So here's the billion-dollar question. Who's going to win this thing? Is it the company that perfected rocketry the old-fashioned way, through relentless trial and error? Or is it the scrappy startups who believe AI can just leapfrog decades of human experience? To figure that out, we've got to start by looking at the champ.
Okay, so first things first. To really get what a monumental challenge this is, you have to understand the scale of the champion. We are talking about the reigning, and let's be honest, the undisputed king of the launch pad, SpaceX.
And wow, just look at this. This slide shows you just how complete their dominance really is. As of 2025, SpaceX controls a staggering 98% of the global orbital launch market. I mean, that's not a lead, that's practically a monopoly. A big reason why is that they're their own biggest customer, launching all those Starlink satellites. So for pretty much everyone else, SpaceX is the only way to get to orbit.
And they built this empire on an absolutely insane operational speed. 96. That's how many launches they pulled off in a single year. Think about that for a second. That's almost 2 launches every single week. This isn't just a cool stat. It represents a massive advantage in experience, in reliability, and in all the data they're collecting.
So, how in the world did they get here? Well, their secret sauce is something we can call iterative human engineering. It's this philosophy of build it, test it, break it, learn from it, and then immediately build the next one. It's fast, it's messy, but it works. Elon Musk has even said that Starship was designed without AI, relying instead on this relentless cycle of human-driven innovation. But here's the twist. While SpaceX was busy perfecting this human-led approach, a totally new and disruptive force was quietly entering the race. And this force, it could rewrite the entire rulebook for how you build a rocket.
And that new approach is AI-driven rocket design. So instead of a human engineer sketching out every single part, you have generative AI algorithms that can dream up and optimize thousands of different designs for super complex components. Think of something like an engine injector. The AI can make it lighter and stronger in a tiny fraction of the time. It's a design revolution that's happening at a speed we couldn't even imagine just a few years ago. And this breaks it down perfectly. The process is actually pretty simple, but it's so incredibly powerful. Step 1, an engineer just defines a goal. Say, I need maximum engine thrust. Step 2, the AI gets to work, generating thousands of potential blueprints. Then, and this is the really cool part, they just 3D print the best ones and test them out in the real world. This lets them iterate and improve at lightning speed. So what's the big deal? What are the advantages here? Well, you're talking about design cycles that take hours, not years. That means you get parts that are perfectly optimized for performance, and because they're often 3D printed, manufacturing gets way cheaper and a lot less complicated. It's that combo of speed and efficiency that gives these companies a real shot at, leapfrogging a giant like SpaceX.
All right, so we get the technology. But who are the companies actually putting this radical new philosophy into practice? Let's meet them.
First on the list is Relativity Space. You can think of them as the true pioneers here. Their whole founding mission was super bold, to 3D print entire rockets. And man, have they moved fast. They were founded in 2015, and by 2023, they made history with the Terran 1, the very first 3D printed rocket to reach space. That was a huge proof of concept. Now, they've got the former CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, running the show, and all eyes are on their massive reusable rocket, the Terran R. They're aiming for a first launch in late 2026. Okay, the other major contender is Rocket Lab. Now, these guys aren't a brand new startup. They're already an established leader in the small satellite launch market, and now they're stepping up to the heavyweight division. Rocket Lab has a solid track record, right? They got their Electron rocket to orbit way back in 2018. Now they're working on their bigger, reusable rocket called Neutron. But as you can see here, the road isn't always smooth. They had a pretty big setback in January of 2026 when a tank ruptured during a test. It's just a tough reminder of how incredibly hard this business really is. So, now we've got our players. You've got the human-led giant on one side and the AI-powered upstarts on the other. This is setting the stage for a true clash of philosophies. And this really captures the difference, doesn't it? On one side, you have iterative human genius. It's hands-on, it's proven, it relies on experience in actually building and breaking stuff.
On the other side, the challengers are betting everything on rapid AI optimization. They're using automation and generative design to get a speed advantage, even though it's still unproven at this massive scale. It's basically the workshop versus the algorithm.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Here's the tale of the tape for the two main challengers, Neutron and Terran R. What's really fascinating here is that Relativity's Terran R is aiming for a much bigger payload capacity than Rocket Lab's Neutron for basically the same price. But here's the kicker. Look at that last row. As of early 2026, it really feels like Relativity has the momentum. They're integrating major hardware, while Rocket Lab is still recovering from that tank rupture.
All right, we've laid out the players and their strategies. So now we can finally ask the big question. What does all this mean for the future of space launch? And who's actually going to win?
Now, before we get to the final verdict, you have to hear this quote. And it's from Elon Musk himself, the leader of the human-first engineering company. He said AI will likely be smarter than any single human next year. By 2035, it's likely to be smarter than all humans combined. I mean, let that sink in. That statement alone tells you everything you need to know about the incredible world-changing power that AI is about to unleash on every industry, including his own.
So what's the expert consensus? Well, in the short term, say from now until about 2030, SpaceX's massive head start, its proven reusability, its whole Starlink ecosystem, it gives them a pretty much unbeatable edge. But in the long term, we're talking beyond 2030, the whole story could flip. If AI advances as fast as people like Musk think it will, then these AI-designed rockets could seriously out-innovate and maybe even dominate the market. And that brings us to our final big question. You see, this race for space has become a fascinating stand-in for a much larger question about our own future. Will it be our years of hard-won human experience or the incredible exponential power of artificial intelligence that ultimately builds our future out there in the stars? The next decade is going to give us the answer.